Hello and welcome back to Big Nostalgia, the podcast where we look at the games from our childhood, where they come from, the story of their development, and the story within the game itself. We then talk about the audio and visual design, and if we like it, does it hold up today? We also discuss a game's legacy. Is it well remembered? Did it spawn a million billion sequels? Or is it an obscure little title that we hear little about nowadays? Today I am joined by Vicky.
Hello.
And Nick.
Hello.
So, this week we are journeying to Kanto as we take a look at the first generation of Pokemon games. Red, Blue, Green, and Yellow. Without further ado, I will pass over to Nick.
Hello, and thank you for that emphasis on the green. Very well done. So, Pokemon was released on Game Boy in red and green flavours in Japan in February of 1996. Then the blue version followed later in Japan in October of 1999, whereas in other markets like EU and America and stuff, they decided that red and blue was going to be more marketable, so they released that on October 5th, 1999.
Did they have any logic behind not doing green in Western markets?
The Western markets hate the colour green.
Apparently.
It's well known.
Apparently, yeah. I mean, red and blue are American and English flags, but that's the only thing I can think of.
Blue or boo is my comment.
Yeah, I mean, your guess is as good as mine. I guess it was just more marketable through doing their market research and stuff.
Maybe Blastoise was just more popular as a cover monster.
Maybe,
Charizard. Everyone loves the Charizard.
Well, yeah, he was always going to be safe.
Yeah, Charizard and Blastoise, they've got it going, haven't they?
Yeah.
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 They got it going on.
They got it going on. And then there was obviously a special edition, which was Yellow, which we all know and love, which was released in September 12th, 1998 in Japan, and June 16th, 2000 in the EU and the rest of the world.
Crazy to think there were still Game Boy games getting released in 2000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, the console was like 10 years old at that point.
Yeah, there's no way a console has that lifespan in this day and age.
No.
There was also a 3DS re-release of all three games in February of 2016 worldwide. But interestingly, Pokemon Green didn't really get released again in any sort of variation from that point.
So even in Japan, they released Blue?
They released Blue, at a later date, and then Green, during re-releases and stuff, was set aside. So RIP Green, I guess.
Yeah, well, when they did the remakes, they did Leaf Green, didn't they? So it was a bit strange.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
We changed our opinion on the colour green by that point.
Bulbasaur, no. Was it Venusaur was more marketable by then, clearly.
Yeah.
Should won over audiences.
Exactly. He's got it going on now. Yes, the first generation of Pokemon games. So officially, Satoshi Tajiri came up with the idea of Pokemon in 1990, meaning he was developing the idea for about 6 years, at first sketching ideas for a game called Capsule Monsters, which, interestingly enough, was picked up as a subtitle for its rival, Digimon, many years later, but we'll talk about that later on. So 6 years he was working on it, although arguably it was a lot longer than that, because Tajiri spoke of a love for bugs when he was young. To quote, "They fascinated me. For one thing, they kind of moved funny. They were odd. Every time I found a new insect, it was mysterious to me, and the more I searched for insects, the more I found. If I put my hand in the river, I would get a crayfish. If there was a stick over a hole, it would create an air bubble, and I'd find insects in there." So clearly he was interested in this concept for a long time. This directly inspired him to conceptualize Pokemon, having tiers of Pokemon and rare, common, and that kind of thing, as well as like the different types of Pokemon. You get bug types, flying types, fire types, etc.
It's a good thing he's Japanese, not Australian, really, isn't it?
Oh God, that could have been a horror film. That could have been a horror game.
But it is interesting how that was his... It makes sense that that was his inspiration, because if you think about collectors back in the day, there would have been so many different types. There was different ways of storing them as well, like butterfly collectors to spider collectors to stick insect collectors. Like, that would have been... You can see where that inspiration comes from the very first Pokemon setup.
Yeah.
The original Pokemon trainers were those guys that have the boards with all the butterflies on it.
Just Pikachu just like hanging like that.
Highly competitive environment.
They've just fainted. It's fine.
Ignore the
really
needles in
fainted.
his arms. Yeah.
He didn't really expect it to be a big hit. There was an interview with Time magazine where they asked him, did Nintendo expect Pokemon to be such a huge hit? And Tajiri said, no, not at first. They didn't expect much from the game at all. The popularity by this point, Game Boy was declining slightly. He'd finished the game and took it to Nintendo, and he said he felt like a baseball player who slides into second base even though you know you're going to be out, but then it turns out that you are safe. So yeah, he really did think Nintendo were going to reject it. They didn't really grasp the concept of the game as he was trying to... I mean, to describe it, it does sound weird, doesn't it? Like, yeah, you're going around and you're collecting bugs and things in balls.
It's like, I was thinking about, it's like, if you think in like RPG terms as well, it's like, what if the encounters you met, you could just keep? You could, like, the monsters you meet in the overworld, just put them in your pocket, just keep them for later. Like, it's a bit of a strange thing to kind of pitch.
Yeah. Oh no, you can't collect other people's. No,
Mm.
That's their monster.
Yeah, no.
But then you can battle. We're going to make this fun. Let's battle them against each other. So that animal you got and that animal they can fight. They can fight. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
They can make them fight.
Yeah, for legal reasons, we're not calling them pets.
Yeah. For legal reasons, we're not saying that we're taking wild creatures, capturing them, and then pinning them against them for sport, because that's starting more and more to sound like cockfighting or like dog rings or something like that.
Yeah, it's not that. No, it's not that.
No, it's definitely not that.
And don't forget, they only faint when they're beating.
They don't die, they faint.
So yeah, to crack off into the story, basically the story is you want to be the very best, like no one ever was. To catch them is your real test, and to train them is your cause.
Really nice. Very nicely done.
Very
like
nice.
The Thing, you know?
The thing we all know. That thing, yes.
That thing, yes. Canonically, your name is Red. You are an 11-year-old boy, and despite this, every adult in the world asks you to do dangerous tasks like go through this cave full of bats, take down this crime organisation. And the first irresponsible adult you meet is canonically Nintendo's first DILF, Professor Oak. He gives you... That's a fact.
It is a fact.
That is a fact.
He gives you a fact.
He gives you a Pokemon, and he gives you what's called a Pokedex, which is a computer where you store all the Pokemon you've seen. And basically, the first and overarching mission is to collect them all. You have to fill out the Pokedex, and actually, what you're supposed to do as well is have them all as well. You've got like a computer storage system in the game, so you see a Pokemon and it does register in the Pokedex, but for it to like complete the Pokedex, you have to own them all. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later on, because it might not be as easy as it sounds. You travel the world of Kanto in this first game, filling up the Pokedex, and there's some side stories where you defeat gym leaders, which is this kind of like level structure in each location you visit. It's relatable stuff. I'm always beating gym leaders. If by beating I mean trying to avoid eye contact, and by gym leader I mean that personal trainer I had for 2 weeks. Yes, coming back to that crime organisation, there's also Team Rocket, which is obviously the first debut we have of them. You even get Jesse and James, although I don't believe they're named in this game.
No, I think they're all just like Team Rocket Grunt, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. But they are there.
The animation came after the games, didn't it?
It did, yes.
It came because of like the popularity of the game, didn't it?
Yeah.
So actually, the Red and Blue came out first, then the TV series, and then Pokemon Yellow was like somewhat adapted using certain plot points from the TV series. They sort of tightened up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who was appearing where, and they rearranged the order of like Pokemon that gym leaders had to reflect the TV series and all that kind of stuff.
Because people wanted Pikachu as their starter, like Ash.
Exactly.
Like, because Pikachu's quite rare in Red, I think. Like, you can find him early on in the forest, but...
I think.
Oh, once Pikachu became Ash's sidekick, or first Pokemon, however you want to name him, he basically became the a bit like Toroto for the Studio
He's
Ghibli.
the mascot, isn't he?
He's the mascot.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's everywhere.
And they let you, so in the yellow version as well, he obviously trailed behind you, which they didn't have in red and blue or green either. So yeah,
No.
that was quite an exciting addition. And you can click on him and check on him as well, which was adorable. But yes, back to the gym leaders. When you beat a gym, you get a badge and you get like a new TM to train your Pokemon. And then when you beat all of them, you get to take on the Pokemon League, which is like a collection of like Pokemon Masters. And then you fight your rival again at the end. I'll come back to the rival in a moment. But yes, it's a nice and simple game. Your character has no dialogue. You just sort of traverse this world and speak and interact with all the wonderful objects that it's full of.
You stare until they talk.
Well, yeah, if you think of all the classic games though, I mean, Mario didn't outside of a woohoo, and Zelda, Link definitely didn't. So it's a very classic gaming move is to make your protagonist like, shh, don't.
It's true. And it adds to that extra creepy factor, the fact that you just kind of wander into everyone's house as well.
You wander in, you rummage through the drawers, yeah.
And just stand in the corner smiling. We know you. What's your name? Why wouldn't you talk?
Yeah. I quite like it though. It's we joke, but I think it's kind of implied that you're like replying in conversation as well, because it just says like ... when it's supposed to be like Red's dialogue, or your character's dialogue.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was with the Zelda games and the Mario and obviously the Pokemon was that you could put your own persona onto it. You can be like, this is me because, you know, this is me. I'm going out into the world. I'm collecting these Pokemon. Yeah, I'm the Pokemon master.
Exactly.
It was a whole being able to reflect yourself onto the character you're playing, which is why it's good in later Pokemon games, obviously not going to cover today, that the protagonist can be also male or female, which in the early ones it's just male, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very true. Yeah. So your name is Yellow or Blue or Satoshi or Ash or Jack or whatever else you want to put, but canonically your name is Red in these games. And your rival is Green or Shigeru or Gary or John or again, whatever else you want to put.
I'm pretty sure he was called Buttface.
Yes, I was going to say, I actually put in brackets, usually a profanity.
If you were playing the game right, yeah, it'd be a profanity.
Exactly, yeah. But canonically, his name is Blue. And those characters do appear at later points in the Pokemon franchise as well. Satoshi and Shigeru, which are obviously two of the names you can pick for the main character and the rival. Obviously, Satoshi was sort of westernized with Ash, and Shigeru was westernized with Gary. But those are two names that were named after like the game's creator Tajiri Satoshi and Nintendo's game director / creator of Mario, Star Fox, Pikmin, Legend of Zelda, a certain Shigeru Miyamoto, who was a close friend and a peer of Tajiri's. So that was a nice little homage that he inserted there into the story.
Oh, that's nice. I didn't realise that was the origins.
Yeah,
No,
there you go.
Nor did I.
Other characters in the game, you've obviously got the famous ones. You've got Oak, you've got Brock, you've got Misty, and then you've got the Team Rocket grunts who become Jesse and James, as well as all of their famous Pokemon who are heavily integrated into the Ekans. You got Meowth pops up. You got Brock's Onix. You got Misty's Starmie. All of them. They're all here. They're all here, and they're all great. There's also various other characters, and I enjoy how you can just go up to everyone, and they've all got a bit of a story. They've all got like a little tale or a quest for you or something. It just feels very alive when you're walking around in that game. It just makes it feel big. Whereas there's so many like, I don't know, when I play like an Assassin's Creed or something, and they're boasting about the fact that the map is like 4 billion square miles or something like that. I'm like, yeah, fine, but like it feels so empty. You can't just go up and just chat to someone, and there's no like interesting dialogue or interesting little things that you can interact with.
And if you're thinking about the other games that were available at that time, I'm just thinking of like the Mario games that are available and the Legend of Zelda games that are available, you wouldn't have had that sort of interaction as much.
Yeah.
Like, to have an open, like, that would have been that would have been the olden day version of a open world, in brackets. Yeah. Being able to walk around a village, talk to anyone you like, and collect Pokemon. Like, there's certain elements of Pokemon that are just quite advanced for their time.
100%, yeah.
Well, like, the map only ever transitioned when you went into a cave. Like, you could walk from area to area and the screen would change. So it was open in a way. I think there is definitely something lost of that era of, like, it's a straight path, but because of the trainer battles, it doesn't feel like a straight path, and there's also that feeling of, how close am I to the end and a Pokemon Center? Because my team's all like bruised and battered. Or do I need to turn around and walk all the way back to the last Pokemon Center because I don't want to like white out or whatever?
Yeah, if you're like, I remember there's like that big path that leads up to a cave, and like you have to go through like so many trainers before you even get to that cave. So like you're like, well, I'm going to go all the way back, get the Pokemon Center, yada yada yada. It's just like, it's just a fun way of playing. It kind of makes it like, and you know what? When I went back into this, I played it for a bit on an emulator. I was expecting it to feel so slow because of that back and forth, and you can't even run in this early game either. I think that's like Gen 3 or something, where you can hold down B to run because you're given
the running shoes.
Yeah, the running shoes. Yeah, but no, I didn't find it slow at all. I found it. I mean, audiences who listen to your show might know that Star Fox, for me, I found there was a lot going on screen, and I quite like a game with a nice mellow pace to it, because when there's too much happening on screen, I'm just like, whereas I love the fact you can go at sort of a nice steady pace on this, and I don't know, maybe
not too overstimulating.
Yeah. All right, Grandad, take your pills.
These kids nowadays rushing to get everywhere.
Just take your time and smell the flowers as you go.
Because I click on like everything as well.
Oh, but that's the generation of game that you have to click on everything, because that's the generation of games that you'd start there and you'd go like, I've seen like memes and jokes about it, about a certain generation, that every time they start a game, they always go backwards. And the younger generation was like, why do you always go backwards? And you're just like, you don't know.
There could be something there.
There could be something there. Or you go for a room and you have to click every single object just in case. And I love a game that celebrates that.
I don't know if it's started off all the way with this one, but I know there's some Pokemon games where you start off with like a potion in your PC. So if you just go back to your room into your PC, you can like find a potion there randomly at the start.
Oh, nice. That's fun.
And like, well, Pokemon as well has like items that are just like all in like little nooks and crannies and stuff. So it does kind of encourage you to look around, because you might find like a Pokeball or a medicine, like a healing item or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes there's like an empty gap on the map or something, and like you click and there's hidden items as well. It really does encourage you to just play, and I think that's really something to be spoken about.
Play and explore.
Exactly, yeah. But no, I love how every little crevice of this game has some nice details. There are, I guess I should talk about some of the differences between these games.
You guess.
So there are Pokemon that appear in some games that don't appear in some of the others, and I'll talk about why that is in a bit. But Weedle appears in both Pokemon Red and Blue, but doesn't appear in Yellow. Same with Weedle's evolution Kakuna. Same with Beedrill. Ekans only appears in red. Arbok only appears in red. Raichu only appears in red, randomly. Who else? Raichu appears in red and blue. Sandshrew appears in blue. Sandslash appears in blue. Vulpix in blue. Ninetales in blue and yellow. Oddish in red and yellow. Gloom in red and yellow. Vileplume in red and yellow. Meowth only in... when I say only appears in, only capturable, I should say. Meowth only in blue. Persian is only in blue. Mankey only in red and yellow. Primeape only red and yellow. Growlithe only red and yellow. Arcanine only red and yellow. Bellsprout only blue and yellow. Weeping Bell only blue and yellow, Victory Bell only blue and yellow, Coughing red and blue, Wheezing red and blue, Scyther in red and yellow, Jinx in red and blue, Electabuzz in red, Magmar in blue, Pinsir in blue and yellow. So there's a handful of characters that you can only catch in one game and not the other. And there is a reason for that, which I will talk about in a bit. Bosses. So yeah, like I mentioned, you've got these like gym leaders. You've got Brock, Misty, Lieutenant Surge, Erica, Koga.
Sorry, Lieutenant Surge. I always thought that was a really funny name.
I remember because like he's like a veteran who alludes to some kind of Pokemon war that he fought in that never gets explained.
I love
and
that.
And he's like in his 80s or something, isn't he? He's like a proper just beating up 13-year-old boys. No, 11-year-old boys.
Yeah. Do they feel good about themselves?
How do they sleep at night?
Attacking a veteran in his home.
Yeah. I do enjoy, like, they've all got very distinct personalities and stuff as well. You got Koga, you got Sabrina, you got Blaine, you got Giovanni, who, spoiler alert, there are some like links between like Team Rocket and Giovanni as well, which makes some really interesting sort of dynamics going on in this game. And then in the Elite Four, you've got Lorelei, Bruno, Agatha, Lance, and then the final boss of them all, Buttface. Oh, sorry, Blue.
I'm pretty sure you were right the first time.
Yeah, I recognise the first name better than the second one.
So yeah, in terms of the design, audio and visual, Satoshi Tajiri was the director and writer of the game and designer. Producer Shigeru Miyamoto helped produce it. You've got Ken Sugimori and Atsuko Nishida as the artists, and we'll talk a bit about the music coming later on as well. Satoshi wanted it to go on Game Boy because he wanted to utilize the cable. He liked the idea of physically trading a pocket monster through an actual transfer. So that is how you can complete the Pokedex, despite not all Pokemon being available in all versions of the game. Adds a fun little layer of challenge that some of them you have to trade across as well, which I think is a pretty massive step in sort of game interplay and connectivity as well.
I was going to say, I think the link cable had very limited uses, really. It was brought out for the Game Boy, but I don't know how many games. And if they did, it was just a little bit of a two-player mode. I don't think anything of this kind existed, really.
Yeah.
Well, if you think about how multiplayer games are, they're very much in-house. It's before the internet or anything like that. So this would have been their version of internet.
Yeah.
Like being able to connect it with a wire and transfer it across. To me, that's no different than logging into the same network and being able to transfer that way. It was quite a modern concept, and I think it must have been quite a struggle for the Game Boy, though.
Super ahead of its time, I think. But yeah, no, just really, really cool way of doing it. And I like how it's just like it's like an extra mission as well. It's obviously a very satisfying mission, but like it doesn't hamper your enjoyment of the game or stop you.
You don't have to do it if you don't want to.
It's only for completionists.
Exactly, yeah. So I think that's a really fun little layer they've sort of put in there. In terms of the game design as well, I really enjoy how it used colour. Like each town you go in has like its own little colour grade. So like when you're walking between like the cozy town, it might all be sort of steeped in like orange or yellow or something. And then you get like the sort of scary towns like Lavender Town. I'll talk a bit more about that in a bit. And it's kind of got like really creepy atmospheres. It's very simple. It's like one colour splashed all over it, but it really does give each kind of town its own sort of personality, which I think is just like really works. You know, it doesn't need to be much more complicated than that.
I think we have a tendency to overcomplicate things, thinking of like the colour systems and the design and stuff like that. But actually, as you said, original Pokemon, it's very simple. Very simple, relying on a good game design, relying on an open world, in brackets, concept, and very simple colouring. These days, the bad guys and some of the characters, they get a bit ridiculous because I think, and some of the Pokemon do too, because it's been going on for so long.
Yeah.
I kind of view Pokemon like I do The Simpsons. the earlier ones are better.
Not wrong. But yeah, no, it's really cool. I also like sort of Tajiri's clearly got a lot of inspiration as well from his childhood, like talking about bugs and things earlier. The Grimer, the Pokemon, for example, he says he, in an interview that it looks like something that could actually exist, especially because pollution and contamination aren't problems unique to Japan. Kids all around the world can have gone to the river to catch tadpoles just to end up realizing they're covered in sludge. That's what I think. Every single Pokemon has a story that people around the world can understand. So, like, he's clearly been so inspired by his environment, and it's got a universal appeal as well, because it's obviously not just like for kids in Japan. And on that note as well, he just like deliberately chose the map to kind of emulate like looking like anywhere. So it's just kind of like anywhere in the world that people can be, and having that sort of sense of exploring around.
It's got kind of every biome, doesn't it, really, like in little bits and pieces.
Yeah.
So it can kind of fit everywhere.
Exactly, yeah. You got caves and forests.
There's like a bit of volcano, bit of like ice stuff, water.
Yeah.
Hearing his description, you can really see that, and you can really see the influence of that in the games. I do feel that there's certain Pokemon that are supposed to represent, like, if they're from a specifically hot area in the Pokemon world, you can really see that if they're from a particular cold area of the world. But when you're talking about, like, especially the bugs and the grass, I mean, you've got butterfly, you've got Beedrill, which is basically like a hornet. You've got you've got all the classic bugs. Even someone like you've got a seal one that basically looks like a seal with a bit extra decorative. And some of the dog ones, obviously certain breeds of dog look like those sort of Pokemon. So I think, very relatable.
Yeah, definitely. It really does just sort of capture the imagination, doesn't it, when you see things. But yeah, no, really fun. Levels. They're not really levels, but you have got various cities and towns. You've got Pallet Town, Viridian City, Pewter City, Cerulean City, Vermilion City, Lavender Town, Celadon City, Fuchsia City, Saffron City, and Cinnabar Island. And then loads of little other, like you say, biomes within those as well, like towers and underground and
like
sea.
The numbered routes as well, as a way of like navigating as well.
Yeah. I used to pore over these maps. I think they released like official Pokemon like manuals or
Well, it was back when you used to get like the actual instruction book with it.
Yeah.
Because I think I remember, because we had Pokemon Red, so I think I remember like going through that, and obviously you had all like the key concept art there of like what it was actually supposed to look like, I guess. Because it's all like very nicely drawn stuff of him in the shop buying things or whatever.
Right,
I might be getting confused with concept images there.
Yeah.
But I do remember the map. I remember seeing the map in the instruction book, and it being like, this is this city, this is what you can do there.
Oh my god, I literally pored over it for like days. I'll just like, and I love the design of it as well. It's just like a beautiful map.
Was red and blue when you could do the cycling as well? Or was that not until later ones?
Point, I
think cycling is in the first game. It is the only form of moving fast.
Is it? Oh, I haven't got that.
But
yet.
you don't get your bicycle until
later on the bridge.
Quite late.
I
want to
distinctly
Celadon
remember
City,
using
maybe?
that bike. Yeah.
Yes, Celadon's where the department store is.
Oh, there's a big department store. Unless I'm getting confused with Johto in Pokemon Gold and Silver.
I might also be. So we are covering that game later this season. So
I'll report
just
back.
comment below.
We'll
Please
be able to
comment
crack
below
the
if you
record
know.
later if we need to.
Oh, and actually, I can tell you right now, because my next section is about items and power-ups. And I'll list them. Antidote, Awakening, Bicycle. There you go.
Hey!
Bicycle voucher. So obviously, you go to the department store and they give you the voucher, and then you can buy the bike.
I think it's like a quest thing, isn't it? The voucher, I think. Like
Is
you,
it?
Yeah, to get the voucher, to then get the bike.
Yeah, because the bike is like just too expensive, I think, otherwise. He's like,
yeah. It's one of those
he's
things
like,
where
it's
they're
like 9999G, and you're like, I don't have that kind of money.
I am 11.
The only money I've got is from beating up the others.
11-year-olds.
I'd like to preface this. I have played this game a lot, but I would like to apologise for little gaps in my lore knowledge. It is a fucking huge game.
It's a huge game.
Last week, Phill had to do Tetris. I'm just saying. So what else do you get? Burn Heal, Calcium, Carbos, Card Key, Coin Case, Dome Fossil, Elixir, Escape Rope, Firestone, Freshwater. I'm going to skip through these, but Gold Teeth. And if you give someone the Gold Teeth, then you get like one of those HM moves or something. So you got HM moves as well, like Fly, Surf, Cut, and they help you actually like get to levels in the game as well. It's all like...
They're like the quest moves, aren't they?
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that's lost. Like, in modern day Pokemon games, you've definitely lost the concept of needing to learn a move to get to another area. They're more just available.
You get given like a Pokemon in some of the more recent games, don't you? Like, this is the Pokemon for Fly.
Yeah, you get like a ride on like sea Pokemon and a bird Pokemon.
You don't have any control over it. I suppose you don't in the earlier ones.
What I forget what HM actually stands for, because I know TM is technical machine.
Yeah.
But I can't remember what HM stands for. Because I know in the modern games as well, all of your moves you can use as many times as you want.
Oh,
Whereas,
right,
like, in the early games, like the TMs were one use, so you really had to be like, is this Pokemon coming with me for a long time? Because I don't want to waste this move if I'm just going to replace them later on.
Yeah.
It was only your HMs that were reusable because you literally had to have them for the plot.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I like how like every item is there for a reason, and then you get, of course, the Master Ball, which is probably my favourite of the Pokemon items and accessories, just because it does what it says on the tin. You can catch anything with it, so you can get your Mewtwo or your Mew or your okay, I think we're jumping ahead to different games, but you get like your Entei and your Ho-Oh and stuff like that.
That's definitely jumping ahead. You can also just, if you're feeling crazy, you can just waste it on a Magikarp or something.
If you really want to, yeah.
Oh, Magikarp back in the first game, that was the definition of that poor Pokemon character. Splash! It did not do anything. Splash! It did not do anything. Splash! Right, you're not getting this. It didn't do anything, okay? Just stop doing that.
I don't know if you've got the Magikarp story in your quirks or any of your notes, Nick, but that one's like based on like a real Japanese thing of like, if a fish could swam up this waterfall, it would like evolve into a dragon. It was like based on actual
cool
Japanese folklore, which is why Magikarp evolves into Gyarados.
Yeah. You go from like the most pointless animal into like...
But the thing is, I think the reality in the game is what you can buy one for like a ridiculous amount of money early on.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't learn anything. It learns tackle at like level 10. And then it's like level 20 it evolves.
Right, yeah.
So you've got to just keep giving it little bits of XP.
Well, the best thing to do is obviously like put Magikarp at the top of your Pokemon list, and then when you get into a fight with a trainer or wild Pokemon or Elite Four, Gym Battle, whatever, the first Pokemon in your list will come up first. So Magikarp will get sent out, and then the first thing you have to do is switch it out. Hope that the opposing Pokemon isn't like super quick, and then switch it out with your highest Pokemon. And then when you defeat that Pokemon, the XP is shared, which I think is that's my tactic if you want to level up your weak Pokemon.
Well, back in the day, these days, it does like joint. So in the more modern day Pokemon, you get the XP shared. And the most modern day ones, it's shared equally, because I found out that even like the Moon one, Moon and Sun, it's shared, but it's not shared equally, where you don't actually share the experience points. Like, you get a little bit for all your other characters, whereas in the more modern day ones, like the Pokemon, not Sword and Shield,
X, Y,
Violet and Scarlet.
Okay.
You get a proper amount of experience. Even your party does.
Yeah, because the EXP share, I can't remember what game it was introduced. It might have been as early as the second game, but it was always like really hidden.
Yeah.
Whereas now you kind of get given it by default, and it's like, obviously the response is, well, you don't have to use it, but it's like, it's so convenient. Like, you're giving someone something really convenient, being like, well, if you want the challenge, you don't have to use it.
Yeah.
You can
Everyone
turn
uses
it off.
it. Everyone uses it.
Do you think the internet like ruined like Pokemon because you can obviously just like search for the Easter eggs and things now on the later games?
You could use that as an excuse for any game, though.
Well, yeah, true.
Pokemon was especially one for like the rumors of how you catch, like the truck. Like, can you move the truck to get Mew or something like that?
Yeah.
Or like if you go at a certain time to a certain place. I know obviously in the later games that was true. Like you had day-night cycles, but in Pokemon Red it wasn't.
No.
But it was like all these like, and then like the ones that only had 2 stages. It was like, but if you do this, it was like the proper playground tour.
Yeah, you could just make shit up
this,
and be like, yeah, I got another Mewtwo because I
have Mew free.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Yeah, and it was like, yeah, no, if you click on the bed after like at 12:09 or something, like, you can literally just like change the clock and you got to do this, and like you could just make anything up, talk about it on the playground, and people would believe you because you didn't have the internet.
Well, I feel that before the internet, that you had like the magazines, you had very early internet forums. There was ways of finding this information. You had the Nintendo magazine.
Yeah.
You probably had Pokemon magazines back in the day. It all depended on like your access to those magazines, and obviously it was very regional. So obviously your magazine within your circle of friends who played Pokemon, rather than these days connect to the internet. It's the whole world.
Well, yeah, exactly. Because now you can literally do like, I mean, yes, you did have the internet back then, but like you didn't have the extent of now where you could go on YouTube and watch the playthrough of exactly how people do things. And like, not to be old man yells at cloud, but like, yeah, I did like figuring things out for myself and having, because it meant like you all had a very different experience of the game as well. And then like the fact that you could do the trading and stuff like that, you might not have even had the same Pokemon as your friends because they might have had blue and you might have had red, and if you've got yellow, then you're the shit, you're the dog's bollocks, aren't you?
And even like the encounter rates for Pokemon was like different. So like even if you both had red, you might have had like a rare encounter, like, and therefore it's like, oh, how did you get this one? It's like, oh, I got it here, and they're like, I was there and I did not find it. And
I'm going to spend 4 hours on Route 36 trundling up and down trying to find it,
walking through the grass constantly until I find one.
Yeah. And then if you do chance encounter like a Mew or something, you've only got like 1 Pokeball or no Pokeballs or something.
You end up in a ball in the corner.
And like Abra was the same, wasn't it?
Abra, oh yeah.
Fucking Abra, yeah.
I remember Abra only knew teleport. So like,
yeah.
If you didn't catch it right there and then, Abra just
fucked
left,
off,
and you're like, oh, right.
He did. He just gone. Yeah, it was freaking annoying. Abra teleported. No, I've just been like 40 minutes in this area looking for bloody Abra, and then you just teleported again. You little
some pent up rage about Abra's teleport. Moving on to the music. This was composed by Junichi Masuda, who composed and continues to supervise for all Pokemon games, recently promoted to Chief Creative Fellow at the Pokemon Company. So, yay for Junichi Masuda. Yeah, exactly. And again, I think totally worthwhile because he made each town, as well as the colour grade and the characters that exist and the Pokemon that exist within each town, he really did bring a bit of life to stuff as well. Like I mentioned about Lavender Town earlier, but like that haunted me.
It's such a creepy tune, isn't it?
Yeah. I remember like spending like my childhood with, and I had that stupid little screen that goes over your Game Boy to light up because it didn't have built-in backlights at this point.
I think I had one of those as well. Like, and it was like a magnifying glass as well.
Yeah,
wasn't it? Like,
that's it. But being terrified of that. Terrified of Lavender Town wearing that. But there's like ghosts and shit as well, which is like really cool. Adds a little bit of like lore and a bit of mystery as well. So it really was like each town was so vivid. Yeah, it's just amazing soundtrack.
Well, like the battle themes as well.
The battle music is great. Like diddly 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 dun 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 dun. Yeah. It's just brilliant. And then your Rivals music is so cutty. I just want to shout out to that as well.
Does it serve?
Yeah, it really does. It's when he first rocks up to you in like Professor Oak's lab and he's like, I've got the Pokemon that is going to beat yours. And it's all just, every character, just all the gym leaders and stuff, it really does bring a bit of like
Yeah.
characterization.
That's why he was called Buttface.
That's why he was called Buttface. Okay, moving on to quirks. We obviously mentioned about Mew. This was actually done on purpose. He wanted to sort of create a bit of mystery around the game and create that kind of like playground chatter and stuff. Mew was not originally included in the games for people to acquire. You had to get it from interacting with Nintendo. There were 150 characters and Mew was number 151. So it was like that kind of extra little like nugget once you've done everything in the game sort of things, just to create that bit of chatter. And again, like Phill said about like, I've got Mew 3 and stuff. Like it kind of it was like a little like a real mystery in there. So like it just felt exciting. Tajori said it created a myth around the game. There was like an invisible character out there. Someone gives me Mew, then I give Mew to you, and you pass it along. Introducing a new character like that created a lot of rumours and myths about the game. It kept the interest alive, is what Tajori said in an interview. Then there's a character that wasn't put there on purpose, and this is the infamous missing number Pokemon, which appears as just a glitchy sort of rectangle. And I've got the most common way to encounter missing number, courtesy of Glitchopedia. You go to the northern part of Viridian City and watch the old man's demonstration on how to catch a Pokemon. You fly to Cinnabar Island, you surf up and down along the east coast of the island until missing number appears. So there you go. And you might be thinking, why would I want to encounter this? A, it's a glitch, and people sort of think there's hidden meanings behind it. There wasn't. It was just a glitch. But then the other reason it was utilised is because when you encountered missing number, it would increase the quantity of the 6th item in your bag by 128. So people could increase their Master Ball supply to 128 Master Balls. Which was obviously quite without actually entering like cheat codes and stuff, that was quite a neat way to kind of get it.
It's used for rare candies, I think, as well, wasn't it? Because rare candies...
Oh, you could level up. Yeah.
Yeah, basically just free level ups for your team.
Exactly, yeah. But again, it's like, it wasn't put there on purpose, but like kind of another little interesting thing that went and added to the kind of myth around it and everything as well.
Absolutely.
And then some other little Easter eggs and things sort of within the game. There's a TV in Saffron City that's playing a Mario video game and describes Mario, which is quite a fun little Easter egg, obviously.
Yeah.
And then if you click on your mother's TV in Pallet Town in the first section of the game, the film Stand By Me is playing, quite interestingly, because, again, this was another big inspiration for Tajori, who loves that kind of kids wandering around, just having fun.
Like that coming of age.
Coming of age, yeah, just kind of... Yeah. So quite a nice little reference that Tajiri put in there as well.
I was going to say, do you know the glitch around 100% accuracy moves in the first Pokemon game?
No, please.
They didn't program it properly, because obviously it's a 2, 5, 6 slots or whatever like that. It actually... The way it was programmed didn't quite work. So actually... A move like Tackle or something that's meant to have 100% accuracy has a 1 in 256 chance of missing.
Oh, really?
Because they hadn't done the numbers right. So actually you can... A 100% definitely hitting move can miss.
Oh, wow, that's fun.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
Legacy and our opinion. Obviously, the big one is it was adapted into the anime series, starring Ash and Brock and Misty and Pikachu and Jesse and James and Meowth and Brock's Onyx and Misty's Starmie and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously off the back of that, the yellow version of the game, as we've mentioned, made a few sort of modifications. So a list of the changes that were sort of modified. This comes courtesy of IGN. The player doesn't have a choice for the starter Pokemon, obviously. You get a Pikachu, who travels with the trainer around the game. The player can get the other 3 starters from trainers throughout the game. Is that true?
I remember that Yellow was the only one you could get all 3 starters.
Because I don't think any other Pokemon game you can get all 3 starters.
Not without trading shenanigans.
Oh, I see. Did you have to speak to specific players throughout the game then, or specific trainers throughout the game who would give you a Pokemon?
Because the whole idea of Yellow is that you can end up with Ash's team from the anime.
Ah, okay.
And I know that he had all 3 starters.
Yeah.
That's fun. Your rival starts off with an Eevee that will evolve differently depending on your battles with him. If you win the battle at the lab and the battle on Route 22, he'll get a Jolteon. If you win the battle at the lab and not the battle on Route 22, he'll get a Flareon. If you lose both battles, he'll get a Vaporeon.
Wow.
Because in the original Pokemon, there was only 3 evolutions for Eevee. You only had the water, the electric, and the fire. It wasn't until later.
Yeah.
Even in the TV series, there is a certain episode where you bump into specifically Eevee evolution trainers.
Okay. Yeah.
And you have the 3 brothers who one has electric, one has fire, and one has water. It's not
Vaporeon.
until later that Eevee, because obviously the Eevee character can be evolved into those, they extended it, and obviously there's been a lot of fan art over more evolutions the Eevee character can, the Eevee Pokemon can do. Whereas I think it's quite good that they stopped at dark and light. No, dark and
No, they've
psychic.
got fairy as well now, haven't they?
They do. Oh yeah, that was no. It's like friendship or
What?
fairy. Yeah.
No,
so
you can evolve with high friendship, can't you? In the later games.
into the fairy. So
okay.
Yeah.
I remember my Eevee was evolving. I was like, I haven't given it a stone. What's it evolving into? And it was a pink one because it was like friendship or really liked me or whatever. But
That's
then you've
adorable.
got Umbreon, which is the dark one. You've got the psychic. You've got the leaf. You've got water, electric, fire.
Yeah.
It's a very cool little addition, Eevee, as well, because, having that Pokemon that's got, a different way of evolving, I always found that really interesting as well.
And you're guaranteed one in the game, aren't you? Because you get given one.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And there's other Pokemon, like the ones that you have to sort of, clone, because they're, prehistoric Pokemon and stuff as well.
Oh, you get the fossil,
Yeah.
don't you?
You get the fossils, yeah.
The choice of 2 fossils.
Yeah.
So it's all these little ways that encourages you to play again.
It just feels like there's so much lore that they've packed into it, and I like how it's scattered, and you don't have to embrace it all as well. You can do as much or as little of it as you want, and
Yeah.
I think it's just really cool. No. Yeah. It really created like a big sort of difference in how everyone played it as well, because then you play it with your mates or whatever, and everyone's got such a different team. So when you battle, it's every Pokemon might be different levels. You have to decide which
What have you prioritized?
Yeah, which attacks they have, which evolutions they've had. I don't know what the maths is on it, but I imagine it's pretty close to infinite amount of
It depends what you prioritize as well, like type coverage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you have attacks that can deal with anything?
Well, say us 3 all played Pokemon and we all had the same Pokemon in our starter deck, doesn't mean that we all upgraded them the same way, doesn't mean we all played the same ones the same way, or we might, our fire one might be a bit more tackling based, our water one might be heavily only have water moves. It's a very diverse game.
Sometimes there's a sacrificial HM Pokemon who just has all the the cut and
That's
the
just
fly.
there to open the way.
Yeah.
It has cut, fly, strength.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
The one on steroids in the corner, it's all good. I can cut.
Other differences: Charizard can learn fly with HM02. There's a surfing Pikachu mini game apparently.
I've seen screenshots.
Have you? Oh, yeah, I've never come across that. Mini games is something that has kind of bugged me with they've kind of baked it in so much in future Pokemon games. You have to kind of do weird little submissions and things along the way to actually progress the plot. No, I haven't got time for that. I want
to go out there. I want to catch Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I want to beat trainers.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop getting in my way.
Let us know in the comments if you want Old Man Nick's Pokemon gripes.
You know what? When I
We'll do
played
that as a bonus video.
when I played a modern video game, I played
When I played Pokemon back in my day.
When I played Red Dead Redemption, which everyone told me to play for ages, I gave up almost instantly because you had to feed your horse, you had to feed yourself. I got so bored of it so quickly.
The horse was not going in the Pokeball.
Yeah.
What is it?
Didn't matter how hard you tried.
He wasn't learning Thunderbolt.
You know, there's Pokemon games later on where you've got like, you have to go, we don't have to, but you go to like there's like a beauty contest and stuff.
Yep.
Oh,
There's also breeding places as well in the later Pokemon games.
Yeah, actually,
You can
daycare
take-
centre. I remember that. Yeah,
Daycare centre or breeding programs. Yeah.
I think there's daycare in Gen 1, but I think that you can't do the breed until Gen 2. I think
You can't do the breeding.
we'll be learning about the
Don't be
breeding
doing
in
that.
the next Pokemon game.
Gym leaders have different teams to reflect the Pokemon they have in the anime. Jessie and James appear with Ekans, Koffing, and Meowth. These three can't be caught in Pokemon Yellow. Trainers and Pokemon have updated sprites, but their back sprites are the same as Red and Blue. Don't know what that means.
So, like, when you're sending them out, because every Pokemon's got its front and it's got its back of its head.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, because I remember when you used to catch like Nidoran from the front, and then you sent him out and he was just like swole.
Yeah,
from the back.
and like some of them just in the low res graphics, you were like, what Pokemon did I send out?
So those are all the changes that were made off the back of the anime. There's also, I don't know if you've heard, there was a trading card game based on Pokemon, wildly
I
successful.
might have heard about it.
If you've got one of those, it's probably worth like £5 million. Dig it out of your basement, mum. Obviously, there were movies that came off the back of it, including, like, famously, you've got the movie 2000, but there were many more animated ones, and a live-action stint with Detective Pikachu, which came out a few years ago, which I thought was a very solid movie. Finally got to see...
Mr. Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, Mr. Ryan Reynolds. Finally got to see Pokemon in live action. I thought it was great. There should be a follow-up. The game series continues, obviously, the latest release being Pokemon Z and A. They're just going alphabetically now.
It's ZA, isn't it? Rather than it's like it's the wide open one that's coming to Switch too.
Yes. I don't know much about
I
it.
thought they'd already done a wide open one.
They're doing another one, but based in the Pokemon XY world, which is why it's called ZA, because I guess you're at the end of the alphabet, you got to loop back around to the beginning.
Yeah. You've obviously got a few re-releases, such as Leaf Green and Fire Red. There was also a re-release of the original games on 3DS in 2016. There were remakes called Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee, released on the Switch in 2018. And then, as well as various other sort of Pokemon games that have followed on from the back of this, there was Pokemon Go, which was released on iOS and Android in 2016. It took Satoshi's concept of a more sociable play system, including the whole trading and walking around and adventuring kind of element, to new heights, ditching the cable. And that resulted in 232 million active players at the peak of its launch. So,
Wow.
I am not surprised. The thing with Pokemon is that it's very restrictive to a console or to a gaming, like a handheld. Pokemon Go was just on people's phones. And unfortunately, there's a little thing that happened in 2020 called dear old COVID, and our restrictions of being near people and our time outside, not to have, if you want a silver lining on a worldwide pandemic, it was actually a game that encouraged you to go walking and could do stuff safely from a distance.
Exactly, yeah. I think out of everything that's followed in the Pokemon series as well, I think it kind of does capture a bit more of the spirit of the original as well. So we're gonna tone down Old Man Nick for a second and talk about something positive that is from... I mean, I say modern, it came out nearly 10 years ago, but...
Modern.
Now I feel like old man.
But I think that's probably the closest they've come to actually recapturing some of that magic, because it really did, it took the concept to new heights. It kind of more than the original kind of did sort of capture the original vision of being out and about in nature and finding new places and exploring new places, and look, there's a Pokemon up at that castle or something, and taking real life little sort of geo mapping data and sort of putting it onto this game. I thought it was probably the best legacy that Pokemon Red and Blue and Yellow could have left on the franchise. So there we go, end on a positive note. What do you guys think about Pokemon?
So I really enjoy Pokemon. I've enjoyed the series, which I've actually watched recently, which is why I knew about the Eevee evolutions. I like the trading games, the card game as a youth back in the day. That was always very enjoyable, and taking those to schools and trading them and having certain characters, and I just thought it was a lovely world. My personal jip is just, as I said earlier, I do feel that Pokemon is a bit like Simpsons. It started off very innocently and very young and very full of creativity. Some of these Pokemons these days, bloody hell, I think someone's literally opened a drawer and looked down and went, you could be a Pokemon. What could I call you? Like
Staplerio.
Yeah. One that literally looks like a set of keys. Like on a ring. And it's just got googly eyes on it.
We were literally talking about one that is just sludge being in the first game.
I suppose the sludge in the first game, Grimer, as even the creator said, you could see that in the world. Like,
And
I don't
Snake.
know, the creativity behind it feels more like what's in your handbag rather than what's outside in the garden and what's outside in the world. Obviously, there's a lot of influences for animals and stuff like that. Certain ones that don't really hide the fact, like Ponya, which is basically a horse on fire.
It's what happens. It's Pony.
There we go. That was the idea. But like Ekans, the name was Snake backwards. I'm sorry, that was just very inventive back in the day, and I just don't feel that they put as much effort into it these days because of the popularity. But that's just my personal view. I still think Pokemon is an amazing series / manga / card game / actual game. Like, and I still really much enjoy the Pokemon franchise. I don't think it's, when I say like serious gaming, like I mean like really difficult, I think it's a very easy game. I think it's a very pleasant game. Like, I don't particularly find it very hard game. I like to play it to relax. I like to play it just to explore and just for the fun that I think it was invented for back in the day. I've never thought of Pokemon as difficult. But hey, that's just my opinion. I really like it.
I think it's I agree. I think the difficulty kind of is on you as a player. You can take it as slowly or as quickly or as like grindy as you want. You can, like we were talking about earlier, you can go back and forth from a Pokemon Center and make it easy for yourself, or go at it difficultly and
It supports each individual's way of gaming.
Yeah, Phil, what do you think? Pokemon.
Well, I'll just talk about Gen 1, because obviously we're going to talk about Gen 2 later this season. Gen 1 I think is really good. It's like amazing how much they fit into this game. I think the first time I actually beat it though was the 3DS re-release, because it kind of came out at that period of when you're a kid and you have the game and you just play to a certain point, can't work out what to do next, you just restart.
Yeah.
So, like, I'd say right up until probably Lieutenant Surge, I know, like, the back of my hand because I've done it so much. Yeah, it's just amazing how much they fit in, how many mechanics, how much detail there is, like, underneath the surface. But like you say, it is very much a choose-your-own-adventure game. Like, it can be, if you really want, you can make it difficult by picking a team of Magikarps and Weedles and just going for it. Or you can search, you can do the side quest, you can find like the rarer Pokemon, you can look up the stats, because I'm sure even though you can look them up online now, there's probably magazines of like, oh yeah, Gyarados has these stats, so therefore you want to do this to get a Gyarados.
Yeah.
But back then it would have been real trial and error of just like, how good is this Pokemon really? Like, what you didn't even know what moves it was going to learn, so that was like, therefore it kind of encouraged you just to play it again and again and again and again, because you're always going to discover something new.
Yeah.
I think there is definitely an element of that that's kind of lost in modern games, where you can just like be like, I'm just going to look up what the optimum strat is for this game. Obviously, you don't have to do that nowadays, but it's just like a popular game will be so much over your social media and stuff. It can be difficult to avoid being exposed to it.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to show my old lady roots and just say that the first 1 to 150/151 Pokemon are the best Pokemon, just hands down. Like, listening to you talk obviously about the first gen, like, I find the first gen Pokemon's the best Pokemon throughout all of the Pokemon. There's been Pokemon that have been developed since I do like, but you gotta love first. I just feel that was such a lovely element to the game as well. And as you said, like, it was just so replayable.
Yeah. You could call your rival something different from Buttface next time you play.
Yeah, I won't, but it's a good idea. Yeah, no, I think there's definitely standouts in every Pokemon gen, but I'd always have a soft spot for 1 and 2. But when I think everyone, their favourite Pokemon gen is probably the first one they played.
I was going to say, this actually was not my first Pokemon that I played, because this was released in 1996 in February, and I had just been born. So my first game, we're actually going to...
That is no excuse.
Skill issue.
We're actually going to talk about the first game I played later on in the series.
Ba-ba-ba.
But yeah, no, for every great design, there is also, like, Grimer or Tangela, which is like somebody just doing a bit of a scribble on a page and putting some googly eyes on it.
Yeah.
Was Ditto part of the 150?
Yeah, Ditto's an original Pokemon, yeah. And that was another one of those really rare ones.
Yeah.
Because you'd see it and then it would turn into your Pokemon.
Because that just looks like gum.
Yeah, exactly.
Chewed up gum. So yeah, maybe I'm a bit harsh on the new designs, but I don't know, they seem to all have a bit more of a purpose.
Well, the whole idea is like the Pokemon can hide in the world, but you are right, in some of the modern designs where they're based on modern things, it does kind of take away from this idea that Pokemon have existed for a long, long time. Like, some of the modern games are exploring more of, like, the medieval time, like, Japanese samurai time, where there was still Pokemon. It's like, well, that one looks like a car. For example, I don't think there's any Pokemon yet that looks like a car, but it just kind of, like... It does, yeah. But then I think if you're getting that worried about that, then maybe you're worrying about that a bit too much.
I do have to admit, I think I'm still waiting on, like, the definitive Pokemon, like the definitive modern Pokemon game that's going to get me back onto, like, a Switch 2 or whatever console. I'm kind of waiting for that one that's going to transform it for me. Like, I've sort of dipped my toes in again since with, like, Moon.
We did Sun and Moon for a podcast years ago, if you remember. We did an actual Pokemon episode.
I do remember, yeah. I think that might be the last one I actually dipped my toes into. Thinking it was going to be like that new transformative game for me. But I don't know what the next step's going to be. I think Pokemon Go, like I said, is probably the closest it's come to kind of replicating some of that soul. But yeah,
the idea behind Pokemon was just so iconic and so innocent and was so well published back in the day of Red and Blue, Yellow and Green. I think they've been trying to hit that ever since. Now they can try with new Pokemon, they can update and rejiggle some of the things that allow, such as like learning the XP and trading and everything. But sometimes you just can't beat an original personally.
Yeah.
Oh, wait till I talk about the next game.
Challenge accepted, Vicky. Challenge accepted.
Turns out you can beat perfection.
That's how you're going to start it, isn't it? It's just like, well, last episode we were talking about perfection. Turns out you can beat it. Let me tell you how.
So that brings us to the end of another episode of Big Nostalgia. So this series is running weekly at the moment, so you can subscribe to the channel and come back for more episodes about old Game Boy games. So if you want to go check out our back catalogue, we have Pokemon Stadium as a game we covered for the Nintendo 64 in one of the first 2 seasons. We've done GameCube and Wii games. And yeah... I hope you've enjoyed listening about Pokemon. What's your favourite of the original 151? Next time, Vicky and I will be talking about Link's Awakening. So going from the first Pokemon game to the first Zelda game on handheld to see how, well, another kind of top-down perspective, open-world kind of adventure game. So it'll be interesting to see how they compare. But until then... like the video if you like the video. Subscribe if you want to see more. I've been Phil.
I've been Vicky.
And I've been Nick. Thank you for watching.
We'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Did you say your opinion on it, Nick? You did, didn't you?
I think so. I think I just scattered it throughout and just said I love it.
Yeah, you kind of like
Hey guys,
bouncing on mine and Phillips.
Here's a clean one, Phil.
But is there anything else you want to add?
I love it. I love it.
I love it.